where brevity is paramount. What?
Hello and welcome to episode 29 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name's John Denton, with me as always Chet Roivas.
Yo yo.
So you've heard the podcast before by now probably. 2 top 10 lists. It's the games we've been playing the most this week, going from 10 to 1, and we go back and forth, starting with Chet's number 10.
Okay, right, my number 10 this week is FIFA 13. I've only played the demo. I've literally downloaded the demo, played it once, and then I deleted it. But we should get it in the next few days so we can talk about it a bit more next week, no doubt. I really like it. It's fast. It flows really nicely. I love the fact that the funny thing about FIFA 12 was that the best thing about it was tactical defending. But as its life went on, you started to realise it was incredibly limited. And the fact that it's now context sensitive with all that shirt pulling and sort of... Yeah, that's wicked. I love the speed of it, and I like what they've done with penalties. I went down to penalties in the match I played, and it's a bit more refined. In FIFA 12 you could sky a ball in any direction really, really easily. That doesn't happen now. But yeah, God, it looks great.
Yeah, I'm in a funny position because I played the final game, but that's still embargoed, and I haven't played the demo, so I can't really talk about it probably. But yeah, on the speed tip, I actually think it's too fast. But we'll talk more about it next week.
Okay.
Cool. My number 10 is a game called MMOsteroids, which is an MMO version of Asteroids, where you're the little triangle thing from Asteroids, and everybody else in the game is also the little triangle thing from Asteroids. And you float around using Asteroids controls, shooting all the other people, and then you either die or they die, and you respawn, and it's all pretty pointless, really. But played it for 2 minutes.
Is it? It looks like Asteroid, as in like it's wireframe, simple graphics.
Yeah, it's not wireframe. It's just sort of solid white 2D things, I think. Or maybe it was wireframe. But it's not as good as Asteroids, but it's just kind of like, oh, this is cool. Everybody on here's a real person. But then 45 seconds later, the novelty's worn off. But it's worth doing for 45 seconds.
Are you shooting at them, or are you all shooting Asteroids together?
No, you're shooting at them. It's like a big brawl.
Asteroids in an MMO? That doesn't really seem like a great idea.
It's not even really... I mean, it is a game, but it's not... a game. It's in the browser. You just type in MMOsteroids and you play it, and it's just an office time killer, really. I think.
Okay, a better time killer would be Asteroids on its own, surely.
Yes.
Rubbish.
But less. But at least it is. You go, oh, that's clever.
One time. All right. Maybe I'll look at it briefly.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 9 is Battlefield 1943. Yeah, I'm trying to free up room on my Xbox, so I went through a load of games that I'm not going to play again and deleted them. And I saw Battlefield 1943, and I jumped in. I thought I'll see if people are still playing it, and yeah, I jumped straight into a game, and I still remember how over the moon with it I was, and I still think it's one of the best. Of the times that I've spent 1,200 Microsoft points on a game on the 360. That's one of the happiest I've been with what I've got, and it's still really nice. I played it for a little bit. It's really nice. It's Battlefield, but a little bit different. I like the slight cartoony nature of it, and the buttons are slightly different. It's just simplified, and yet it doesn't lose everything. It's really still impressive, but I deleted it because why on earth would I play that now?
I never played it. I'm well aware of it, and I've seen it being played, but I never actually played it.
If you have,
it looked nice.
If you have one of the main games on a disc at home, there's no point. But in between the big ones, after we'd completely maxed out Bad Company 2, it was perfect. We had such fun with it, and it's an impressive, and it still looks good. It's one of the best looking games on the system still for a download.
Interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
They know what they're doing, those boys.
Yes, they do.
Nice.
You're
nice.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah, lovely.
Nice.
Talking of lovely games, number 9 is Spelunky for me. Only a few games this week, but I like Spelunky a lot. It's just such a good game. It's just so well made, it's so clever, so demanding, so satisfying. And I'm kind of getting into this whole... I don't really like Dark Souls because I don't have enough time to dedicate to it, but I like what it stands for. And Spelunky kind of stands for the same thing, just kind of going back to games being challenging, both physically on your hands, which they kind of still are, but more to your mind, not just telling you exactly what to do and how to do it. And I get bored of that. I'm sure you do too. Everyone does.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it doesn't really tell you what you need to do, but you don't need to be told what to do. You can work it out in 10 minutes if you've got a brain in your head. And yeah, it's just it's an awesome game. I'll probably play it for a long, long time. I'll keep going back to it when I've got spare 30 minutes or something, spare 20 minutes. And I still recommend that you play it.
I will. I always forget that I can play it for nothing.
Yeah, I'd still recommend playing the 360 version, the proper one. Really, having played the browser version.
I don't want to hate something that I'm going to pay 1,200 points for, though. It sounds like something I could go either way on.
Yeah.
It's too much of a risk.
I bet that it gets knocked down to 600 or something at some point.
That's what I'm waiting for. I've still got to try, and I've kind of got to that point with Quantum Conundrum as well. I'm like, I really loved it, but I don't know.
Spelunky's timeless, so it doesn't matter. It's not like it's going to date. Okay. So, even if it's in 6 months' time, you still can't go wrong.
Yeah, okay. Well, no,
I personally think you'll really like it, but, like you say, it is a lot of wedge.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, speaking of games that you think I'll really like, my number 8 is Super Hexagon on the iPhone.
All right.
I need to let it bed in, and I need to give it time. You've spoken loads about how it annoys you that sometimes other people's opinions end up sort of affecting you somehow. This has already become a game that you cannot hate. Everybody is talking about it, and everyone's saying, "Oh, it's a masterpiece! This, oh this, oh this, oh that, oh this," and I'm just like, it's. By the time I got around to playing it, I was just like, "Shut up! All right,
yeah,
I get the picture." And I mean, my knowledge of iOS games is pretty limited, but this is a benchmark for me because I've never the controls. It's not a shooter, but it might as well be, and you need the perfect controls, and these are the most perfect controls I think I've ever played on an iPhone game. More so even than that one I spoke about the mini games compendium, whatever the hell that was called.
Oh, so you like it? I was getting
I appreciate it, and it's the game that I appreciate, sort of in a standoffish kind of way. Like okay. I like the music, but it started to bother me after a while. I love the way it uses your own disorientation against you as it goes on, and. Yeah. It's a game that I know if I'd have found myself, or if I hadn't had every single person I've ever known in the history of the world banging on about it, I'd be obsessed. But I started to get irritated, and I was like, why am I, things that I know were just me being irritated, the fact that everyone won't shut up about it. But yeah, I'm just going to let it bed in, give it a bit of time, and then go back to it in a couple of weeks, I think. Yeah,
it's later on in my list. I just keep going back to it when I've got a bit of time to kill and just end up getting sucked in again.
Yeah.
And I kind of like. I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I meant to. It's a really weird game. It's like in almost any game that requires a degree of skill, you get better, and it's the same applies for anything in life. Fucking playing football doesn't matter what it is. You get better as your muscle memory gets better, and you learn the systems and whatever. This feels like that, just really distilled down to a point where you could tell straight away that it was incredibly hard and you kept crashing into the walls within seconds, but you knew that as soon as you got your head around how long you pressed the screen for to spin the little arrow around, then you were going to start getting better. And the whole time I had that feeling distilled, and almost every single game I play, I feel like I'm getting better. You make a mistake here and there, and it's quite an achievement. He's managed to kind of distill that into such a small form. But I'll talk about a little bit more about it later in the list. But big fan.
The only thing every time I played it, I got to a point where I got worse and worse, and then I'd stop, and then I'd go back half an hour later, and I'd get another high score.
Right.
So I personally don't think I can sort of binge on it and get progressively better. Which is,
I mean, over time, not literally in a session, but more just over the overall time that I've played it.
Right. Well, yeah, I will go back to it for sure.
Yeah, you should. My number, what was that? Your number 8?
8.
So my number 8 is Resident Evil 6. The demo appeared on Xbox today, and bizarrely I hadn't played it at all up until this point. Managed to avoid it through work and whatever.
Doesn't it have like all 3 bits of all 3 campaigns in it?
It does have a bit of all 3 campaigns, but the demo only weighs in at like 900 meg, which I was surprised at. But nevertheless, I only had time today to play the Leon campaign, which is a short bit in the university, I guess it is, where you're running around with this girl. It's a very unremarkable bit of the game. Nothing really happens. You just run through some rooms and there are some zombies. Basically nothing happens of any interest. So, taken out of context, I mean, to be honest, I didn't like it. I just found it just boring. It was like any other game that I've ever played, any other shooter. It didn't have any personality. It didn't have anything that made it stand out from Resident Evil. Now, I'm not going to judge an entire huge big budget game on a demo. That's completely wrong, but it just left me a little cold.
What happened? Did anything happen at all?
No, you just shoot some zombies, run through some rooms. Fuck all happens. Absolutely fuck all happens. There's a couple of tiny bits where, like, you get trapped for a second and zombies come up to the window, but nothing you haven't seen done in other Resi games. And just having I've always wanted them to have the whole move and shoot at the same time thing. It felt archaic that they didn't in the previous games, but now that they do, it's kind of lost a little bit of the feel of Resident Evil. And also having a co-op partner with me shooting and doing stuff just reminds me of Resi 5, which is not good. But as I said, I'm not going to play the rest of the demos. I'm just going to wait for the game and play it properly as it's meant to be played from the beginning and get stuck in properly, because I'm sure it's better than that, because, like I said, it was a completely unremarkable section. But
so you didn't meet that guy? There was no other characters you met with?
No. The only other character is the girl that you're with.
Oh, okay. That seems a bit strange for them to do that.
It's a poor demo. Because it feels there's nothing about it that is Resident Evil. You're moving and shooting in the exact same way you would in any other shooter. The guns don't feel particularly special. Zombies come slowly, shoot them in the head a couple of times, they fall down dead. You pick up skill points, but you don't know what they're for, so no one's explained it. And then there's no set pieces, no bosses. I don't know what happens in the other two demos, but it's kind of, I was quite pumped for Resi 6, and it's kind of just put a downer on it, which is, well, that's a poor demo, really.
Yeah, I mean, because of how good it looks as well. I'm surprised they didn't set it outside of the university, because it's all inside, is it?
There's one bit where you run through a courtyard and there's like fairy lights. I guess you call them fairy lights hanging up, and some balloons and shit. It looks fucking nice. And I'm not like basing the whole game on this tiny little section that I played, but yeah, when I booted it up, I was quite excited, and then halfway through, I was just like, it's just boring, mate. This is like every other game that I've played in the last 7 years in this generation so far. But I'm sure it actually isn't.
It sounds like they've picked a really dry bit to have in a demo. That's
it's
strange.
it is very dry. It doesn't feel like, people have talked about the Leon campaign being, harking back to old Resident Evil style and a bit slower, more methodical, bit scarier. This wasn't. It was just loads of zombies in rooms. It wasn't scary or tense at all.
That's interesting. And mystifying, because there's some great moments in that when you're in that university. I don't know why they didn't use them.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
That's
but
quite.
Yeah, I mean, it's out in a few weeks, so I'm just going to play it. And I don't normally do demos unless they're sports games. So.
All right, fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, right. My number 7 is Razor Salvation on the iPhone. As I've said a million times, I'm sure there's a similar thing on Android phones as well. But if you have an iPhone, download free app a day, and it tells you once a day these normally apps that are normally priced 69p or £1 or whatever take for 1 or 2 days they're free. And I downloaded this from that. And it's normally, I think, 69p. It's actually really very good. It starts off with like Bioshock style recruitment posters, the red and grey. Make a difference. Kill a grunt today, it says. And there's a female voiceover over the top, and it's nonsense. I can't work out whether there's an alien invasion or a zombie infestation, and it seems like there's both. But anyway, you're in this pod, you land on this planet, and it's a first-person shooter, but they've gotten rid of the main problem with having a first-person shooter on a phone, which is that you don't move. You're using these turrets. Right. So you're spinning around on this sort of tubular spaceship, and all of these hot sort of civilians have to run to you, and you have to get them in. All the while you're shooting these people moving around. You can move 360 degrees. I don't know how the upgrade system might hurt it, but at the beginning, all of your guns, you have about a choice of 5 weapons. And they take so long, like 15-20 seconds to reload, so that when things get really hectic, it's all about using that a little bit, waiting for that to reload, going back to that, and doing all this. And I was like, wow, this is really clever. I haven't seen this done. It's like it's balancing the reload speeds of all your weapons, but
like cooldowns in an RPG or something.
Pretty much. The only problem is that I found that so invigorating and so enjoyable, mastering that and knowing when to sort of go to what gun and all that stuff. That when I did the first level and there's an upgrade system and you've got upgrade points and you can upgrade the reload speed, I was like, oh, kind of takes.
Right.
I thought it was like the big idea of the game,
Yeah.
and apparently it isn't. It might not hurt it later on, I'm not sure, but it's a really great soundtrack, kind of sort of N64 era, but kind of cinematic as well, hard to describe. And
I thought you were going to say NSYNC.
NSYNC. NSYNC?
NSYNC soundtrack, yeah.
What's NSYNC?
Justin Timberlake's boy band from the 90s.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. You just live in a different world to me. Sounds like a better world, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't remember what the fuck I was saying, but anyway, it's a first-person shooter without you don't have to move. You're pinned to the ground, and it's really enjoyable. Yeah, 69p if you can get it. Razor Salvation, really good. Although I don't know if the upgrade system will fuck it over later on.
That sounds all right.
It is all right.
Yeah, you can't beat those free Apple a day. There's a Twitter feed that I follow. Do you have an app? Did you say that does it?
There's an app, and it can ping you in the morning saying today we got these.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. I found some decent games doing that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes, sweet. My number 7 is Darksiders 2. I'm done. I just don't like it.
Where are you?
Where was I? I have to awaken some giant fucker or something, and I haven't got to any portals yet. And I was like, this is the last go, and I'm giving it, and the last go that I'm going to give it. And I went through. I solved some very, very easy puzzles that took no brain power. Did some very mindless combat, and then you find this soul that you had to put in this giant monster. It didn't really know why, but it didn't matter. It was fine. And then like the next area of the temple opened up, but instead of having it in context of the game, like say the giant you've just awoken him, he smashes the wall or something, like just something cool that would happen. Some wood just fell down, and it's just like I can't get into it. It just feels like it might as well be fucking vector graphics to me. It just feels like exactly the same as the first one. I feel like I'm just moving through a video game, performing the tasks that they've set out in front of me, which are way too easy, and I'm not enjoying myself at all. And I know it's supposed to get better, but I'm like nearly 6 hours into the game. That's a long time. And I thought, I just sat there and I was like, I could be playing Rock Band. I could be playing Rock Band instead of this, so I just turned it straight off.
And you're not going to go back to it at all?
No. No, I thought, I'm in my 30s and I'm wasting my time trying to force myself to like something for 6 hours. Don't do it. So I'm not going to.
I'm surprised. I'm really surprised. I'm like, there's so much to love about that game. I mean, even, it gets better later on, yeah, but even before that, I thought it was a really neat game. A Zelda ripoff still, but a very good one with the, and it was
so easy.
Easy.
There's no brain power. Just go into a room, you see the puzzle, you go, yep, and you just do it, and that's just fucking boring to me. And there's no thought, there's no satisfaction in beating a puzzle. I'm just like, okay, I've got to do these now. None of the things I have to do are fun. They're just busy work.
Okay,
it's exactly the same. I mean, if you look on Metacritic, there's 83 reviews, I think, for Darksiders 1, and my review is at the bottom. That was a review done in isolation. That's just what I thought the game. I hadn't even spoken to another living soul about it as I was reviewing it. For some reason, their level design or the way they put their temples together just doesn't appeal to me at all, and it's exactly the same with this one. I appreciate other things about the game, and I want to love it. I wanted to love the other one, but it's just not doing it for me.
I don't know why that is. I'm surprised. I mean, it wasn't the greatest game in the world, but I thought as a progression from the first one, they'd really raised their game. Even before this, I may have oversold the transition that happens when you go through, when you arrive in that land of all those portals, but I'm surprised. I'm really surprised because I just think it's fun.
Yeah, well, everyone loves the first one and I don't. It's just one of those things, I think. It just doesn't do it for me.
All right, well, that's a shame.
It is a shame because I always I never set out to dislike anything, even though I didn't like the first one. I was desperate to really like this one, as I am with any game. So, I am disappointed, but there does come a time where you have to realise that, exactly, and you're wasting your own time, really.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. That's a shame.
It is.
Okay, my number 6 is Pro Evolution Soccer 2013.
Okay.
I've got the full game. I've only had a few matches. I'm going to play it into the night tonight and all day tomorrow, and then I'm going to write a review of it. But I've literally had, I think I've had 3 matches. I've had a look at Master League, and it just feels right. Just feels right.
Certainly does.
I have to say, seeing some of the reviews over the last couple of days, I got kind of irritated that so many people were just sort of insinuating that Pro Evo has been shit for the last few years and it's suddenly got good. Whereas I thought the last one was really good as well.
It was.
And that's a shame because everyone's just like, oh, all of a sudden, there was a lot of talk about how that it just suddenly came back from the dead, and that's complete and utter bullshit. I tried. I started toying around with the tutorial, and the tutorial is great. Have you done it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just at first it really infuriated me because basically it's teaching you all the new tricks in the game. But there's always AI there. So if you have to do something where you've got to shoot at a goal, it's not an open goal. There's 2 defenders and a keeper there. And at first, so it directs you, tell you exactly what you needed to do. You do it, and then one of the defenders would clear the ball, or the keeper would save it. And I was like, I'm doing what you're fucking telling me to do. Why are you fucking stitching me up? Get rid of those people. I want to do it in like an empty goal like you would in a FIFA or something like that. But it would take me 6, 7, 8 times to do each one, and I was like, fuck. That's the kind of stuff that I do to tick a box. When it comes up with a little tick, I'm like, oh, I did that, but I forget it.
Yeah.
The process of doing it, actually, because it's a tutorial, but it's still the game, essentially.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I'm not going to forget that stuff now. And I was like,
take it into the game and use it.
Yeah, and I was like, man, that's this and Tekken last week. They've put real work into the tutorials, and that's really important because I mean, both of those two, Pro Evo and Tekken, are incredibly complex.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of stuff in there that I know that I would forget if I didn't have it drilled into me. And it's not. Yeah. They were very,
and a lot of stuff people didn't know as well.
Like
that it was even in there.
The trigger button.
Yeah, exactly. That's always been a part of the game. It's way more developed this year. But I mean, even since the PS1 days, using R2 or whatever it was, it's always been a part of the game, controlling the ball. But nobody knew that really.
Yeah. I definitely didn't. But yeah, that one of the first ones is hold down the trigger just as you receive the ball. You chest it down and then you can shoot straight away.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's neat and everything, but I would have forgotten it. And the fact that the tutorial is structured as it is means that I won't. And I was like, wow, that's really clever. But as you know, I remember, I mean, for as long as I've been alive and as long as I've played video games, until recently, tutorials were either the most painful or the most pointless part of any game.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are really, really starting to get inventive with them now, I really appreciate that. But yeah, I've had a few games and it's just, it feels lovely. It really does feel nice. I'm loving it. Can't wait to play more.
Yeah, I mean, it's later in my list, so I'll talk about it more in detail later. But
cool.
Yeah, huge fan. Huge fan.
Yeah.
Very, very excited and happy about it all, really. But yeah, I'll talk about it in a bit.
Genuine.
So, what was 86?
Yep.
My number 6 is Batters Armored Kill.
Oh, yeah.
Great fun. Really, really good fun. Loved it. Played a bit with you, played a bit without you. Didn't have enough time this week, unfortunately, to give it the real time it deserves because you need to play Batters for hours, really. But the maps are amazing. We were unsure, weren't we, about, you probably got this later in your list as well.
Yeah.
But about the gunship that flies overhead in rush mode, it seemed to unbalance it slightly, but it doesn't seem to be so much of a problem in Conquest in the time that I played. Is that still the case?
Yeah, basically I'm a complete dipshit. I mean, I knew when I was saying it last week, when I said it's come out and it's ready straight out of the box, they're not going to need to patch anything. As soon as I said it, I was like, I'm going to fucking regret that. But at the time I didn't think there was anything wrong. I played all day. I just hadn't really played much Rush, and afterwards, the next day, we started playing Rush, and we were like, "Okay, this is completely fucked."
Yeah.
Everyone said it, so DICE are going to patch it imminently, I'm sure. But if you're on a Conquest map, there's so much space. There's so many people that can attack one of those gunships. On Rush, all they have to do is hammer your spawn, and not only that. The attacking team is not only given the gunship on every map, they get more vehicles and stuff. So you're fucked from... Yeah. It's so unbalanced. It's fun if you're attacking. You can't lose. Although I will say that we've defended against on Rush 3 times successfully. You know, just. felt amazing, but it's still horrendously unbalanced.
Yeah, they need to fix that. If people don't know what we're talking about, there's a new gunship that's not controlled by players. Kind of spawns in Rush, and you can jump into it as a player and use the guns. And it's extremely powerful and resilient. So everybody on the ground needs to take it out with anti-air missiles. But then missiles, you can't fire them at tanks, so tanks can come through and you're just getting fucked from all angles, basically.
Yeah, and on Conquest, it can get hit from 10 different places.
Yeah, and also you can capture the point where, the gunship belongs to.
The gunship,
yeah, exactly.
But on Rush, on those tight maps, we just found repeatedly you just get spawn trapped. If that gunship's on he's on the ball, you can't. I mean, it's amazing that we've managed to defend it twice. It's 3 times. Sorry, it feels amazing. But again, you feel just as much like you're beating the game as you're beating those guys you were playing against.
Yeah.
But they will fix it.
Oh yeah.
And
the maps are superb.
They are absolutely superb, and we've all gotten used to, me and my lot who play have gotten completely used to how big they are. There was a lot of, you never turn down a lift, where the vehicles are and so forth, but Conquest is fantastic.
I'll be playing more this week.
Oh, will you?
Yeah. I was really enjoying what I played. It's just, time constraints.
Right.
But, yeah.
Genuine, yeah. Top draw.
Sweet. See, that was my 6, isn't it?
Oh, right, okay. All right. My number 5 is About to Blow Up Part 1 on the Xbox 360.
Is this an indie game?
This is the last indie game of that batch that I downloaded a month or so ago. I downloaded it at the time because the picture, what would you call it? The poster?
Yeah, the little icon, whatever.
The digital artwork, whatever the fuck. It looked like the animation was kind of done in a kind of 1950s Hanna-Barbera style, and there's like a guy shouting at another guy, and I was like, oh, that looks nice, so I downloaded it. But it starts off, and there's an animated cutscene, which I'd never seen on an Xbox Live indie game, a proper animated cartoon. There's no dialogue or anything, it's just music and text, and it kind of looks like those old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. The bad guys, all the Lavender Hill mob. And it's crude and it's simplistic, but it's a cutscene. I was like, oh, fair play. The story's fucking, you're some little guy who wants to be a hip hop manager, but there's this villain called he's Mr. Sleaze and he owns the town, and my boys will never let you get in. And basically, game starts and it's a point and click game.
Okay.
And I was playing it for a bit, and the puzzles are kind of simple. And it's endearing, man. It's like all of the villains, they look like the Lavender Hill mob, as I said, and they're all like, why are you little punk and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's amiable. And I sold a few puzzles, and then it came up, do you want to pay 80 points for it? And I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Go ahead. So I bought it. I've spoken to a mate of mine who plays... I've never really played point-and-click games, ever. And I spoke to a mate of mine who always plays point-and-click games, and he says that my experience with this is that's just the genre. Because basically, it's a modest game. So basically, I was at a point where I'd unlocked 8 screens, and you only have a handful of things in your inventory at one time, and you can only interact with a few things in each screen. So there's not much you can do each time. But I managed to get stuck twice. I mean, properly tear my hair out. I can't go any further. In one instance, it was my own fault because I had a key. There was a massive lock in the previous screen that I didn't bother to go back to. When I find about it, I'm like, I'm an idiot. The other time, I was like, really? Really? Computer game? That's a puzzle? Put the flat cap on the mouse? Are you having a laugh? It was the most obtuse puzzle in the history of the world. But my mate says that's just point-and-click games. Yeah,
quite often.
But yeah, aside from that, it's really nice, really amiable. It's made me crack up a couple of times. I don't know why. It's sort of kind of daft humour. It's not even really humour. I mean, there's this bit that really made me laugh where you encounter this rat who's guarding a piece of cheese, and he says, whatever, and he's like, leave my Swiss cheese alone. But whenever you go away and come back and you click on him, he says, 100% pure Swiss. And I don't know why, but I found that really funny. But yeah, it's nice. I'm no point and click expert, but it was just pleasant. I enjoyed it.
What's it called again?
About to Blow Up Part 1. I googled it when I got stuck. There was no guides online. It's made by a company called Darksiders Games. They don't have a Twitter. They don't have a Facebook. So I don't reckon we'll see About to Blow Up Part 2.
That's a shame.
And also, it's available on the the App Store. Sorry, on iPhone and iPad, so you can have a look on there as well.
Good old Jerkazoid.
Yeah, it's incredibly modest, but I liked it. It's one of those games where you can tell the guy or the team, whoever made it, their heart was in it, and that's infectious. And I can't help but respond to that, which is why I paid for it. So
awesome.
Yeah, not bad. Really not bad.
Yeah, sounds alright, that one.
Not a bad one to finish on.
Yeah. Talking of not bad, number 5 is Walking Dead Part 3.
Oh.
So, we went back to it and played through it, and after a slow start and a couple of slightly shonky bits, I mean, man, it's pretty fucking powerful for, what is sort of ostensibly a point-and-click game, I guess, in a roundabout way. Yeah, there's some, a couple of really fucking amazing moments in that. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's one of those games where you're getting to the point now where you want to talk about your choices and what happened in your version and all that sort of thing, isn't it? But we can't really do that, so you don't want to spoil it for anyone else. But, just an amazing piece of work from Telltale, and I can't wait for the next instalment to come out. I don't think I've ever felt as a game has ever been that powerful. In some of the scenes it's delivered and the choices it's asked me to make, I don't think so, for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, although your reaction to it sounds much more extreme than mine, and I don't know whether you picked completely different things and there's been different consequences. I mean, some pretty, monumental stuff happened when I played through, but I don't know whether it's different to yours because it didn't really affect me that way. That's why I kind of took issue with the fact that everyone was saying it was the best of the 3, whereas
I still don't think it was, because there were parts where it was very slow and a couple of bits were just a bit boring as well, I thought. So I actually thought it was probably the worst of the 3, but had moments which were some of the best moments of the game so far, if that makes sense, but overall probably the weakest.
Okay. Wow, I didn't think it was the weakest, but I just thought it was. I think they've all been on a par and good for different reasons.
Talking minute differences here, if I had to judge all 3, but I'm just, they're all gleaming.
Yeah, well, yes, that much is true. If you haven't played them, sort it out.
Yeah, really, and they're so cheap as well. But are they 400 points?
Yeah, just buy one and have a look.
Yeah, do. There's probably a trial as well. No, just buy it. Yeah. 400 points.
Yeah, or something on Steam. I don't even know what it costs on Steam.
See, I think it's even cheaper. If you're a fan of the TV show as well, I think it's coming back soon, then you've got to play it. I think it's better than a TV show. I mean, I don't know if anyone else thinks that way, but it's certainly comparable.
No, I think I may agree with that. I'm going to reserve judgment, though, because I haven't seen the second series of that yet either.
Okay, it's slow as piss for a lot of it.
Yeah, I've heard that. People were just like... But I thought the first series... Everyone loved the way the first series started, and I didn't, and vice versa.
I didn't like the way the first series started, but I liked the way it ended.
Oh, right. No, I was like that. Most people say I didn't like the ending, I like the start. But anyway.
Yeah, it is pretty fucking slow. But anyway, yeah. It's a TV playlist.
Okay, well, my number 4 is Jet Set Radio on the Xbox 360.
Oh, sweet.
Fans are going to be through... I mean, this is out now, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I reviewed it. I didn't know if it was an early thing.
It came out last week, I think.
Sega haven't touched... I mean, they've dressed up the visuals and given it a lick of paint, but they haven't touched it. Aside from... They've treated it like a museum piece, and fans are going to love that about it, because it's that game looking better as you remember it. I was a huge fan. I never owned a Dreamcast though. I think I borrowed someone's Dreamcast and I just blitzed that game to death for like a very, very long weekend. It was great to return to. It still looks and feels like nothing else. It's got real personality, but it's so of the time. Like games of that time, DJs are everywhere, and one of the main characters is a DJ. And that just made me laugh, because back in those days, every fucking game had a DJ in it. Yeah. But, and the music is such... It forms so much of the game's personality, but it's that mixture of electronica and sort of J-pop and stuff. I couldn't hack it at this point. Basically, it's still the same game as you remember it. The problem is that it hasn't aged. The gameplay hasn't aged brilliantly.
Right.
The controls are really stiff and quite rigid. And when you're skating around, and at first it's like this is still fucking great, but when you start having to make precision jumps, and I just started failing a lot, and I was just like, because the precision that you have to do, it's so rigid and so stiff that it just felt like it's a game from a different era, and that's exactly what it is. So fans are going to love the fact that it's been kept as it is, but I wish they tinkered with the controls a little bit, because it's a game that I'd love to sort of really, really get stuck into again, but I just got pissed off with it so much in the first like 3 or 4. I can't remember how far I got, but yeah, I played it a shitload, but when it started relying too much on precision jumping and you don't have precision controls, I was just like, it's too much for me to take. But I have to. I mean, if I loved the game as much as this and Sega treated it the same, I'd be quite happy about that.
Yeah. So I never really played Jet Set Radio, but I played Future to death. I've done. I think it's one of the few games ever I've done everything on. So
I think I did. I had that as well. That's when I had an Xbox, so I played that a lot more. But I always thought the first one was better because I liked actually drawing the paint tags. Right?
Yeah, that's what people say. The second game is a game that made me kick a hole in my wall at home because I went to New Game instead of Load Game.
Oh so, yeah, wicked. Those are the days.
Yeah. But that hole's still there in my family home as well. It's covered with a poster of Diego Forlan, a footballer who you won't know who he is, but other people do.
Is
that's
your
a little
mum a
insight
fan
into
of
my
his?
life. Sorry?
Is it your mum a fan of his?
Yes, actually, strangely.
But it's her poster, right?
No, it came out of a Manchester United magazine that I had when I was young.
Okay, right. I didn't realise. Okay, I understand. I thought it was like in your living room.
He actually hid the hole for a few years before she even realised there was a hole there.
Oh, right.
So it's a good effort on the part of me and my brother. But eventually the truth will out. Right, my number 4. You done? Sorry, I just interrupted you. Yeah. My number 4 is F1 2012.
Oh wow, yeah.
Formula 1 2012. They really should. They've got themselves stuck now calling it 2012. They should call it 2013 because it immediately dates itself as soon as we get to the new year. However, that doesn't really matter. It's very, very good indeed. As the last one was, I talked to people who are really, really into F1 and racing games, and they pick holes in it a little bit. I don't know enough about that sort of thing to have their same sort of problems, so I kind of have to take their word for it. But for me, it looks amazing. It sounds fucking credible, this one. It really sounds amazing. And on sort of the medium casual settings, which is where I'm comfortable, it plays superbly. Real sense of speed. Like I said, sounds fucking awesome. And it has like weather that varies on the track because the track's so big. Obviously, it can be raining around one corner and then you come round and it's sunny down the straight. All really cool stuff. Presentations through the roof. When I started to turn off some of the assists and make it a little bit more realistic, I just thought, do you know what? I need a wheel and a chair because F1 cars are so fast and twitchy that on an analog stick, it's like I can't even fucking keep it in a straight line. So they struggle for balance a little bit there. But I think if you're serious about this sort of thing and you like your realistic racing games, you're going to have a wheel, even if it's just an Xbox wheel.
For wheel.
So yeah, for wheel. But yeah, I thought it was really good. As I did the last one, but as
is it different from the last one?
That's the problem. I think if you bought the last one and you bought this one, to me, I can't even really tell the difference apart from the fact it sounded much better. But I'm sure people say that about FIFA and Pro Evo, who don't really, follow football that much.
Yeah, it's so weird. I enjoy. I've played. I haven't played this year's, but I played the last two, and I enjoyed them. But it seemed like when what was the first one? It was F1 2010, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
After the hiatus.
Yeah.
When that got to number 1 and did really big business, it seems like then they decided that they were going to, because it's only a small team, especially when you compare it to other franchises that get developed every year. It's not they don't have that same number of people, so it just seems like it's not something that should be updated every year.
No. I mean, I understand that they want to get a game out every year with every season for F1 and all that stuff. It makes sense, but you're completely right. But again, thankfully they got it right first time, and that studio's so good as well that they're not really. It's not like some series where you feel that they're really struggling with the time constraints and they're never going to get the game to the level where they want it.
Yeah.
It just more feels like they just don't have the time to add much to it. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where I don't know enough to really pick holes in it and see, exactly why the camber on this turn, all that sort of stuff.
No, I know.
He really knows. I read the review in Eurogamer, and that guy, he really, really knows his stuff, and some of the language was alien to me, but I'm always impressed by someone who knows their subject matter and has that kind of passion for it. It's just not me. Same with you can't know about everything.
That's true. No, that's true. But good then. But it's as good as last year's.
Because I mean the quality is there for all to see.
Okay. Right. Okay. My number 3 is Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure.
Get hell.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah, Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure. I'm telling you. Basically, Nintendo were kind enough to send it to me, and when I pulled it out of the package, I was like, get fucked. I'm not playing that. Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure, no chance. It is absolutely brilliant.
What?
And I'm serious. It is absolutely brilliant. You know, they've done themselves a real... I don't know what the fuck they were thinking calling it Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure, because you immediately think that it's an educational tool for like preteen kids.
Yeah. Trying
to get them up to speed with how to use a typewriter or how to type. There is nothing educational about this. Absolutely fucking nothing. It is a video game. It is a completely pure video game. I reviewed it today. And I said that the keyboard, it could have been a set of bongo drums, it could have been a massive controller with loads of buttons, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a keyboard.
Right.
Admittedly, I think if you're a kid and you're not used to typing, you'd get used to using the keyboard a bit more, and I suppose that's beneficial. But everyone always says the most important thing when you're learning to type is where to put your hands and how to move to other keys at speed. There is absolutely nothing like that. Basically... how can I explain? It's basically whack-a-mole. That's all it is. The story is that you're with these two characters. I can't remember their names. They've got some pun names, but they're researching Pokemon, and the map on the game is the keyboard. You get a keyboard with it. It's gorgeous. It could have been developed by Apple. It right. Looks it's lovely little bit of kit. But you're researching Pokemon, and the keyboard.
Is this on the Wii?
No, it's not. It's on the 3DS, which is my one problem with it, is that it's awkward. It comes with a little stand to put the console up so you can look at it like it's a laptop or something, but I found myself hunching over it quite a bit, and you want to play it on a screen. On a handheld, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, basically the map is the keyboard, and you go to like E, Tall Forest, O, Snowy Path, Hyphen Quarry, Hash Canyon, Caps Lock Museum. They're all these locations. Nice. You click on them, and Pokemon will run towards you, and as they run towards you, their name will come up underneath, and you have to tap the name in quickly and then move on to the next one.
Right.
It starts off very simple. Pikachu, spell out Pikachu, then the next one comes on. But in no time at all, I can't even begin to describe how hardcore this game gets. I can't believe that it's like a hardcore... It's not a rhythm action game, but it's so unrelentingly hardcore after about 20-25 minutes, but in a brilliantly rewarding way. It's like a shooter. It is exactly like a shooter.
Right.
You even earn medals on each level, and they unlock skins for keyboards. I mean, stuff. But basically, how best to describe it? Basically, these Pokemon, come towards you, and you do all that stuff, and then they start introducing bubbles that have one letter in them, and you have to tap them as quick as you can.
Okay.
And then eventually those bubbles start to get in the way of the Pokemon, so if you don't hit them before the Pokemon come, the Pokemon wipe them out, you don't get a score. It's all about building your multiplier up. If you know your Pokemon, you can, as soon as you see them bob over the horizon, you can type them in quickly.
Right.
But as you play it, you get to learn what they're called anyway, not just by sight, but by sound. And by after 40 minutes playing it, you've got 3 Pokemon sprinting towards you, and you've got to tap, 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 and then these little bubbles that might fuck your multiplier over. Tap, tap. I mean, don't buy this for a kid. Learn with Pokemon Typing Adventure. I don't know what a child is going to make of this, because it's as hardcore as Frequency.
Fucking hell.
I mean, honestly, it was but brilliant. So rewarding. And it's all... But as I said, it's a glorified version of Whack-A-Mole, because all you're doing is tapping what comes up on the screen.
Yeah.
They might... At one point, there is literally a level where the Pokemon pop up through the ground like a Whack-A-Mole bit. It's... I've done a shithouse job of explaining it, but...
No, you're not. No, you've not.
It's... I'm blown away. If you can learn anything from it, it's just don't underestimate Nintendo. Because when I got it out, I was like, okay, learn to play learn to use a keyboard. But there's nothing educational about it at all. It's just a fucking belting, just a
That sounds fun.
It's beyond fun. I was blown away by it. The only annoying thing is that it's not available on. You want to play it on a TV. You don't want to be hunched over a handheld. But even so, man, I don't even think Nintendo are publishing. I know it's coming out this Friday, but they're not. There's no advertising. There's no. Most people don't know it exists. But I'll tell you what, parents are going to buy it for their children.
Yeah.
They might as well buy a canoe and fucking paddle themselves up shit creek, because I don't know what a little girl would make of this. Although it would, I mean, you will get used to using a keyboard, I guess.
Yeah.
Although not, there's educational. No, they should change the title. It's a game that I think if it didn't have that title, import nuts would have been getting from Japan. No, they wouldn't have been getting from Japan with a Japanese keyboard. No way. But it's something that sort of hardcore gamers would be really embracing, and they still should, because although it's very short, it is very short. I'll give it that.
I want to try it.
Oh well, I mean, I'll still have it when you come up next weekend, so I'll show you it.
Exciting. Yeah, that sounds fun. You won me over with your impassioned speech.
Okay, I don't think I explained it very well, but
I think you did. Well, unless I play it and it's nothing like what you said, but
no,
you explained something pretty well.
It is. Oh man, it's good. I love it.
Sweet. So my number 3 is Super Hexagon. We talked about it already.
Yeah.
I don't have a massive amount to add to what I said. I totally get the thing where everyone's talking about it. I think I only heard maybe 2 or 3 people mention it, and I just thought I'd check out whatever this is. So I got in before all the noise, because that does it does shape your opinion, and it does put you on the back foot a little bit when that happens.
Yeah, I don't mind like enthusiasm all over the shop, but it's already become like.
It's a hipster type thing, isn't it?
Nobody dares to say anything against it, and when that happens, that always switches me off. Me too. But I actually had that a little bit as I was playing the game. I sort of played it for a bit, liked it, went off it a little bit when all that happened, and then just picked it up again and suddenly got a hell of a lot better on the first level, because it's split into, if you haven't played it, it's 3 main levels: Hexagon, Hexagoner, and Hexagonist, and it starts off hard, very hard, and ridiculously hard, and it's very true because it is bloody hard. But yeah, suddenly I just something clicked with me, and I just started to feel the game a bit better, as I kind of assumed would happen, and racked up a fairly decent score in the first one, started getting further and further on the second one, and I still keep going back to it, play it for 5-10 minutes, probably set a new score, turn it off, play it again the next day. I just really like it. I just think it's a really, really well designed, very clever game, cool aesthetic, kind of cool banging tunes. I don't really have anything bad to say. I think everyone with an iPhone should check it out. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. It's a shame that I just got so clouded and just got so fed up with being yelled at.
That does happen, especially when you're on Twitter all day and there's a lot of noise, and it's just one of those things that happens. It happens to everyone who's a gamer and is involved with, reading the internet and being involved every day, like most gamers are. So that you can't help but have that happen to you.
Yeah, I don't mind the enthusiasm. It's just that kind of sort of. It's like a pack mentality where if you diss it, you're in the shit.
Yeah.
And it's just I can't be doing with that. But
yeah,
I'm definitely going to go back to it, and just impeccably designed. I know I can definitely say that much for it.
Yeah. I really like it. I'm going to use it. Weirdly, I've got a jiu-jitsu competition this weekend, and I'm going to use the game to get myself ready for it. I've decided. When I'm sitting there waiting, I get really nervous when I do things like that, as I'm sure a lot of people do. But I feel that if I can sit there doing that, it'll A, take my mind off whatever hell else I'm doing, and B, it's all about calming yourself and dealing with this incredible ordeal of stuff that's coming at you. And the only way you can do it is by being completely calm. If you tense up, you fail. So I'm gonna check it out this weekend, see if it can calm me down a little bit, and just you have to be accepting of your circumstances. I think that might be good mental improvement techniques. So yeah, if so, I'll let people know, and if I fail, then I won't mention it.
Should you play Double Dragon or something, surely?
No. It's all about the mind, isn't it? I don't think Double Dragon's going to help.
Yeah, it'll show. I mean, you use the elbow, you're laughing.
That's true.
Tips.
Yeah, you can't do that, though. Sneaky. It's illegal.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Why would I?
Yes, indeed.
My number 2 is Battlefield 3. We've spoken about it before. Armoured Kill on Conquest mode is wonderful. As wonderful as anything. I mean, it's just they've outdone themselves, and when they fix Rush we'll all be laughing. So sort
Yes.
that shit out.
And then there's more DLC coming, and then lovely.
December, and then March, and then possibly more after that. I'd love to see a Vietnam style add-on. That would be superb.
That'd be cool. And then Batters 4.
Yes, although yes.
Yeah, maybe on next gen.
Hopefully.
Oh. If not, I might have to get a PC. I need to get one really anyway.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as that. It's
Especially when you look at, I was looking at game prices today, and Borderlands is 25 quid on PC, 40 quid on Xbox, and the PC version's clearly much nicer.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. You're just thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd get a new PC. I wouldn't get anything to run on it anyway, because I'm a bloody idiot. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. My number 2 is Rock Band Blitz. Awesome game. The only thing I don't like about the game is the fact that you're better at it than me, and there's nothing I can do about it, no matter how hard I try. I'm one of the best Rock Band Blitz players in the world. If you look at the leaderboards, I'm one of the best players in the world. Like, I'm in many times in the top 30 on songs.
I'm in the top 5 loads.
Yeah. I know. Well, this is what this is what I'm leading to.
Right.
And you're in the top fucking 5. So it's just like, it makes me feel like I'm shit at the game, because the only other person on my friends list you are the only other person on my friends list who I'm anywhere near scores wise. Loads of other people have obviously either reviewed it and ditched it, and they've got crap scores, or they play it but they've not got their heads around it, or they ain't got the skill. I'm being nice. They're shit. We're better. but I'm not as good as you, and no matter how hard I try, I don't seem to be able to beat the scores.
I've started playing in a different way now, much more laid back, which is because, as I've told you, playing that game at first gave me horrendous headaches.
Yeah.
And it was because, I don't think you'd be even able to understand what was going on if you watched me play it, because I don't stop moving.
Right.
I knew exactly what was going on in my head, and those are what nets me the big scores. But I'm just kind of laid back, and I'm just playing it as it's sort of supposed to be played, rather than trying to break it so that I get to number 1 on some leaderboard. I've got to number 3 on one, but I'll settle for that for the moment. It's my number 1, but sorry, go on.
Oh, it's your number 1, is it? Of course it is, yeah.
Yeah, so I might as well just talk about it now. It's I think I said last week, it's as good as anything Harmonix have ever done.
Great.
The only thing is, I bought a load of DLC, and then today the sale goes live. Yeah. And there's going to be loads of cheap stuff on
there. I just checked it out just before we came on the podcast. It's about half the library is 80 points a song.
Oh fuck! I'm just going to go and buy a load of stuff.
Yeah. I bought a couple. I'm only on like D on the list, and there's a couple of ones that I've already earmarked as maybes. Once I've gone through the list, I go back again. Yeah. However, the quality of the note tracks for some of the DLC is terrible. I bought Bob Marley tune, and it's just shit. It just basically the note tracks this, where the tune's going down, 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 and it's like, well, where's that bit then? So that's a bit frustrating. I'm glad I didn't pay full whack for it.
Yeah.
But that you roll the dice a little bit with the DLC, but for 80 points a tune, you still. It's not like the tune shit all of a sudden.
I was going to say, I remember you said last week that some of them were done by like the work experience guy or whatever.
Yeah,
but
that one felt like it was.
The first time I noticed that was I played some of the old Rock Band 1 DLC, Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Oh, yeah. The final half of it is a guitar solo, and I'm like, what? Every other track's blacked out. I mean, the second half of there's no even guitar solo in Gimme Shelter really.
No, not really.
It's not really. It doesn't sort of single that out. So that I thought that's a bit lame. Although we're idiots, because last week we were like, oh, Barbara O'Reilly hasn't got the fucking keyboard part. Of course it hasn't. It was Rock Band 2 DLC, not Rock Band 3 DLC.
Yeah. No. Still sucks though.
It does. But yeah, I bought a load of DLC at the weekend. I'll buy some more now. I've just rebought Lego Rock Band so I can import those songs. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much obsessed with it. But
yeah, I am.
Did you check your friends list today?
My friends list?
Sorry, not friends list. Your scores on Rock Band.
It's difficult to tell. That was one problem I have with it. When you go through the main screen where it gives you recommendations and whatever, stuff will appear and then disappear, and it doesn't really do a great job of telling you if someone's beaten your scores. It'll tell you one song, but
it'll say, do you want to start a score war with this person? And you're like, yes, and then it times out after 48 hours. It's like, what's the point? Yeah,
exactly. So I know your other half has beaten me on one song, which I spent 3 goes trying to beat her score before we did this podcast, and I managed to not do it. But by the way you asked me that question, I'm assuming she's beaten me on a lot of scores, which makes me very upset.
She told me to mock you because she said that she's beaten you on every single song on the game.
Fucking hell.
So,
oh, man. What is with you two? What is that what you do now?
No, well, actually, we do play it way too much. Although, actually, it's terrible. Most games that you really like, you start playing and you finish and you're like, oh, one more go.
Yeah.
This, I start a song and before the music started, I'm like, one more after this.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Exactly the same.
But so now I have to start playing it at night because I have to be so knackered that I can't carry on because otherwise I'll just fucking sit there all day.
I destroyed a day of work doing that. I negotiated. I was looking at the clock and I negotiated with myself at the time when I was like, well, I have 3 more. This was during the song. I have 3 more after this one, and then that's okay. And then it's 1 o'clock, and then I'll get back to work.
Yeah, I've been in that situation more than once already. So more DLC is not going to help that. But man, what a game! What an effing game!
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that sits at the top of the tree coming into the year for me.
Fuck yeah, maybe it might.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. All the big stuff's coming, so who knows? But yeah, it just appeals to me at a fundamental level. Apart from the fucking scores.
Yeah.
You should get Blackened by Metallica. It's the best DLC song. It's amazing.
Is that like in the cell? If it's in the cell, I'll get it.
I don't know if it's in the cell, but the note charts are just fucking phenomenal. And it's so fast, and it's like 6 minutes long or something. It's brilliant.
Okay. All right.
My number 1 is Pro Evo 2013. As I've said many times on the podcast, I'm an old school die-hard Pro Evolution Soccer fan. Was one of the first reviewers in a business. What a dick that made me sound. one of the first reviewers to say that FIFA was better when it was, and now I'd like to think that, well, I thought I'd be one of the first reviewers to go back the other way, but seemingly all the reviews come out today and everybody's raving about Pro Evo, which is great because it is absolutely fantastic. They've nailed all the stuff that they'd been messing about in the past. It has been getting better over the past couple of years. 2011 was all right. 2012 was very good with some very obvious problems, all of which have been fixed, like goalkeepers used to run out in the wrong lines, and there were some problems with passing and stuff. Inevitably, issues will arise as I play it more because that's football games. But just the magic of PES has returned with a new coat of paint. I'm glad I can talk about it properly now because I've been playing it to death, both in review code and final retail copy. And it still has the magic where every single goal feels unique, and they've had that since the very first game. And I remember goals all the time in Pro Evo. I watch them over and over again, the highlights afterwards, and look at the little animations and things. And then you go around and look at all the other players on the pitch, and every single one's reacting to the goal in a different way. Defenders are putting their hands on their head or arguing with each other, and then some of your players are like running after you, some are turning around and doing a little fist pump, some are, not doing anything. Their little smiles change, there's veins in their necks, like the detail's ridiculous. There's little stuff like that. It reminds me of Halo in a weird sort of way. In Halo you can stop, can't you, in the latest ones, and just move the camera around in the theatre mode and just see all this crazy amount of detail going on. In Pro Evo you can do that as well. Just, that stuff's actually been in there even when it was shit. Well, it was never shit, but even when it wasn't very good, and having all that stuff with the game engine that's back to what it should be, is just awesome news. Some classic PES stuff going on at the moment. When I turn it on, it tells me my version of PES is out of date and I need to update it, but there's no way of updating it. Which is great. I'm sure there'll be an update when it comes out. But
I bet you still have to go to some menu.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like fucking. This ain't the PS2. Just do it automatically. As soon as the game starts, do it. Yeah. But you have to go to that fucking. Yeah, that'll be the same.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be Pro Evo without some of that shit.
Yeah.
But glad to see it's been getting the good press. Although, like you say, people who said it's come out of nowhere, it hasn't. And also, people are saying this year they've brought in tactical defending from FIFA. Actually, it's been in there 2 years. So, they didn't take that off FIFA. They both did it at the same time.
Yeah. I'd love to see what this one does because it's. I'm really interested to know if places like Eurogamer, when they're writing a review and they're scoring it, I wonder if they have any, because that 9 out of 10 in Eurogamer is nice to put on the box, but it's the kind of thing that actually sways public opinion, and I wonder if they're aware of that. Always wonder.
What do you mean?
Well, FIFA is kind of like Call of Duty at the moment. It's the kind of game that the majority of people who play it, I reckon, don't play much else.
Yes, definitely.
And they treat it almost like a console, so it's not just something they enjoy, it's something they pledge their undying fucking allegiance to, which is why they're always like, PES is shit, without having played it. 7s and 8s out of 10 in magazines is the kind of thing that people dismiss, but a 9 from Eurogamer is something that will make people, even the most hardened FIFA fan, think, oh.
Yeah, I think so.
And that can, the power of that is really, really quite something. So I always wonder if, like, when they score a game like that, if they realise that. I think it just has a massive effect on people. But
I think so. I mean, certainly, and also just scouting the forums and comments under reviews. I mean, people are excited about this year's Evo. I think it's going to do really well. But then the whole audience of FIFA, this huge extra audience, the Call of Duty audience, almost, a lot of them aren't even aware of video game websites and things like that. So FIFA will still outsell it massively. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if Pro Evo does like almost double its numbers from last year based on this press and how good the demos are.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised. If only one day they could get the licenses for the Premiership teams. But, I don't mind playing as Swirkle. They're my boys.
Yeah, I still remember my boy from Pro Evo 3, Von Misselroom. He's my boy. He's my special boy. It's... if you've been a fan of Pro Evo and you've stuck by it all these years, it's just a lovely present. It's like it's a great reward. It feels
like, And then next year they're on this new Fox engine, which could be... I'm sure they'll just massively fuck it up, but it could be what the series needs. But I can't see how they got the cash to. I don't know. Just live in the present. Very, very good. Very excited.
Yeah, I hope their transition isn't as disastrous as it was last time between console generations, because they did not handle that well.
No, and also I hope, because the online's not been working yet, so I hope when it does switch on. Probably this Friday when the podcast comes out, I hope that the game is as good as it was last year, lag-free, loads of modes. Yeah. But, that could always be a disaster, which would be a real shame. So that's what people want to play these days, isn't it, online?
Indeed.
What you're getting.
Indeed.
Sweet.
I'm interested to see, because Pro Evos, they've slowed it down quite a bit, and FIFA's like fast.
Yeah, so FIFA's well fast. Fast for me.
Oh, I like it. I'm torn, but... This year, I think it's, although the final build of FIFA hasn't turned up, I think you're a winner regardless of which one you plump for. But
yes, I don't want to break any embargoes, but you are.
I think that was the case last year. Although FIFA was the better game, I think that you can go wrong with Pro. But now, whatever. Thank you very much for listening. The usual spiel, the fineartplaylist.com, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. If you want us to play something that's not going to cost an arm and a leg, stick it on Facebook and we'll have a look. That's us done, I think.
It is us done. I'm going to do a lot more stuff on Facebook, I decided, about half an hour before the podcast. So, just get it moving, maybe do some competitions and just fun things for the cool people out there that have been on our Facebook. Make it more interesting than just posting the podcast up every week.
True that.
Put a bit of effort in, John. Sort it out.
Genuine. I'm behind that. All right, well, take it easy. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Peace out. We're going to sizzle.
He's got magic in his feet. Look at this, twinkled toes, stardust, with his hands out like a big windmill, begging for the ball. Look out! A gift from the gun for me. I said it at the start of this game, the greatest footballer in the world. I'll go to my grave defending that man. Some people love him, some people hate him. Who couldn't love this? Nobody. This is a Bernini sculpture of a goal.